speaking of cool things for warlocks, we got some new invocations.
We have not only new Eldritch Invocations, but we actually have a variety of new class features. So some months ago, we released a Unearthed Arcana of class feature variants, easily the most popular Unearthed Arcana we've ever released in the history of 5th edition. And those class features that appeared there for the Warlock have made it into this book. So not only the new Eldritch Invocations, but also things like the spell versatility, the new Pact boon, proficiency versatility, all of that is in there. But definitely the biggest piece in terms of page space for the Warlock among those new class features are the new Eldritch Invocations. And some of those support the new Pact of the Talisman, but then others support the pacts that appear in the player's handbook. And that was something specifically we wanted to explore in this new set of invocations, and that is giving some new options to the different pacts that appear in the player's handbook. As opposed to focusing on patrons or just general use things, we wanted to make sure we not only introduced a new pact, but then also backed it up with some invocations, and then gave some new things to the old invocations. I mean, the old pacts as well.
I find these very tempting. I love that one particular one, the amulet. What is it called in Tashas? Very specifically, did that name change?
The Pact of the Talisman.
The Pact of the Talisman. With the Pact of the Talisman, I love the fact that this almost gives you, a warlock, a chance to be a patron, because you could decide to give this to someone else.
Yes.
At extreme benefit to them.
Yes.
What was the inspiration for the Talisman? Because I love it, and I know warlocks tend to be very selfish by almost kind of design, but I do love that so many of these invocations allow you to buff your party, but in like really creepy ways. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So the Pact of the Talisman was a fun balancing act for us as a piece of game design, because the Warlock as a class tends to appeal to players who, when they play the Warlock, they want to play a character who's really about the power and capabilities they are gaining through their relationship with their patron. This is as opposed to classes like the Cleric and the Paladin that have a much larger component in their appeal to the people who like to play those classes of helping other people. That part of the satisfaction often of playing a Cleric or a Paladin is not only the usual satisfaction of playing a D&D character. You know, you feel powerful, you're going on quests, you have cool abilities, you're fighting monsters. But amid all that, the Cleric and the Paladin have ways to buff people, defend people, heal people. Those tend not to be things that a typical Warlock player is seeking in their Warlock play. But we do know that, particularly because many of us play multiple classes in D&D, sometimes we'll take our preferences from another class and bring them with us to this other class that we're going to play. Like, I often enjoy playing clerics, but occasionally I want to play a warlock. But I might want a little cleric-y feel there, a little bit of, I can actually help my team in some way and not just have my character be all about their own awesome patron-fueled power. And so the Pact of the Talisman is a way to give the Warlock player who is sort of helpful curious a chance to be helpful to their friend. And I started this by saying this was a balancing act. We needed to make sure, though, that the Warlock still had the option that if they wanted to, they can just put the amulet on themselves and just buff themselves. So that it, at the end of the day, can still be about their power, their capabilities. But they have the option. Should they desire to be helpful to someone else in the group, they now have that ability through this pact. And in that way, the Pact of the Talisman fills a very different space in this little constellation of Pact options in the class than, say, the Pact of the Blade does, or of the Chain, or of the Tome.
I'm a bit fascinated because I'm on a live play show now with my wife playing D&D. I'm fascinated about trading Artificer Infusions for that Talisman. Like, like maybe she's building the armor, but she gets the Talisman. Like we find like in like an equal standing of like, okay, you gave me a repeating crossbow, so I don't need the feet. Right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I find that very intriguing. I'm sure there's probably going to be I bet you that Warlock's going to be bartering a little bit often for the magic that they can bestow.
Yes.
I adore it.
You could also imagine a group where the Warlock and the Bard in the group, they agree that as long as the Bard keeps the Warlock supplied with bardic inspiration, the Warlock will let them wear their amulet.
Yeah, I see some real pettiness. Pettiness is key. Pettiness is what I thrive on.
It is clear you understand the Warlock psychology, because I love that your mind went right to making bargains, because the whole Warlock story is about making a bargain.
I mean, it's just on your brain. It's what you do. You made the biggest bargain of all time. You're not walking away from that and still not thinking with that mindset. And there's some lovely additions to the Book of Shadows and stuff like that. Like you've got. I love it. You can write someone's name down in the book, and that person, if they go down to 0 but aren't like dead, they can pop back out. Or you can write messages to people. How is all that received? Because you do really back up the existing ones.
And the playtest feedback on options like that were extremely positive. People really love this idea of taking that Book of Shadows, that they have from the player's handbook, and making it not only more helpful, but even kind of wonderfully creepy, where, because someone's name is in the book, these different, magical powers can benefit them. And by the way, this is another example of us giving Warlocks the ability to be helpful, curious, if they want to help their team out, they're able to do so. And this is not only about giving Warlocks a broader range of character building options, this is also about giving groups party building options, because we really like, especially as we expand the game through books like Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, we want to make sure that we're providing new ways to imagine what a D&D party is even like. There, of course, is the canonical classic party of the wizard, the cleric, the rogue, and the fighter. But there are actually, we know, all of us who play and love this game, there are so many other ways you can build a party with so many different class combinations. And we always strive with these new additions to the game to just multiply the number of possible combinations. And suddenly the character who you might have imagined in one way suddenly is able to bring something else entirely new to the table to help, because of things like the new invocation options in Tasha's Cauldron.
I like that conversation. I'm just trying to help you, but just write your name in this book. I clearly, mechanically, it's beneficial to you, but like from a role-playing standpoint, getting that paladin to write their name in the book is an ask.
Yes.
It's a big ask.
Especially imagine if the Warlock asking you to write your name in their Book of Shadows has the Fiend as their patron. It's like, really? You want me to sign what contract?
I'm taking a hard look at the Fiend again, by the way, because just having that book, it's so classic. It's the most warlocky thing, right?
Yeah.
The Book of Shadows and getting those creepy looks.
Pre-order Tasha's Cauldron of Everything on D&D Beyond, and unlock exclusive pre-order rewards, including digital dice.